She used to text me every morning. Nothing dramatic, just morning baby or have a good day. Even when she was sick, even when the treatments made her too tired to eat, she still texted me. Every single morning when she died, my world just slowed down. I was 24, she was 56. Ovarian cancer, stage 4 by the time they caught it. It felt like watching someone dim the lights in a house where you used to feel warm and safe. One bulb at a time until it was dark. After the funeral, I remember waking up the next morning instinctively reaching for my phone. No notification, no morning baby, just a blank screen and a silence so loud it made my chest ache. That day, I opened our last chat and typed, "Hey, I miss you." I didn't send it, obviously, but it felt comforting. Like if I could still say something to her, maybe I wouldn't forget how her voice sounded when she laughed. So I kept doing it every day. For the last 4 years. It's always just one message. Sometimes it's, "You'd be proud of me today." Or sometimes, "I had the worst day. Wish I could call you." Sometimes it's just, "I love you." The weird thing is, I never forgot to do it. No reminders, no calendar alerts. Just instinct, like brushing my teeth or breathing. I'd type a message, stare at the little typing bubble that never appears, and close the chat. No one knows. Not my partner, not my friends, not my therapist. It's my one ritual that's untouched by logic or healing or timelines. People say time heals all wounds, but no one tells you that sometimes you don't want the wound to fully close. You want to feel the scar because it reminds you that they were real. Last week, I dropped my phone in water. Total loss. Took it to a repair shop, but everything was gone. Photos, apps, texts. My heart sank when I realized, so was that chat thread. 4 years, thousands of unsent messages. Gone. I didn't cry immediately. I just sat on my bed in this weird kind of stillness. Then I opened the Notes app on my laptop, typed, "Hey, I lost our messages, but I'm still here," and saved it. Because the conversation's not over. Not for me, not yet. I'm so upset and I do not know if I'm in the wrong. I'm 28F. My father passed away of cancer back in 2018 when I was 20. Last weekend, my mother remarried. I get along well enough with her new husband. He's a cool guy in general, treats me and my mother well. He also has a 13-year-old daughter from a previous relationship, as he's been married and divorced his ex. They have a 50-50 custody split of their daughter. During the wedding on Saturday, everyone had fun. I even shed some tears of joy for my mom. But Sunday, something shifted. My cousin asked if I'm going to call my mom's new husband Dad. I obviously said no. I already had a dad and was a fully grown woman by the time he came into my mother's life. After that comment, my mother and her sister pulled me aside and started yelling at me to stop bringing up my father in front of her new husband because he's jealous of a dead man? His ex is alive and they see each other every other weekend to pass the kid. But he's jealous of a dead man? I basically told them to get off me. That I do not do it deliberately, but my father had been my father for 20 years, and naturally I bring him up sometimes in passing. Especially to my younger cousin who was only 7 when my dad passed away and barely remembers him. My aunt went into a whole tangent how my dad was important to me but is not important to anybody else anymore. And I should let go and move on instead of talking about him because everyone else is. That in turn made me cry, and I didn't speak to either of them for the rest of the day. Aita for bringing up my dad sometimes? Is it reasonable of my mother's husband to be jealous of a literal corpse? I, 29F, have 2 older brothers, and this is going to be related to James, 34M. Sometime around 3 years ago, James met his now wife, Aria, 33F, and they got married the following year. Aria also has 2 kids from her previous marriage, but I'll come back to it later. Ever since they started dating, Aria has been very clear about her boundaries when it comes to our family. She claimed her previous marriage was a disaster because her ex-husband was a mommy's boy, her ex Mill was very involved in their lives, and she refused to have the same happen with James. James, I assume, being in love with her and wanting to start a family, basically agreed with everything, so the result was him getting isolated from our family. My parents were never crazy, my mom was never an evil type of MIL, and this can be confirmed by my other brother's wife who has an amazing relationship with mom. To be honest, we would have expected more from James, at least to defend us a little in front of his wife or try to keep a closer relationship with us. But he didn't, so we spoke to him once, voiced our concerns about her being a controlling nightmare, and that was it. We left him do whatever he wanted. Ever since Aria joined our family, our relationship with them is disgustingly sterile and fake. We only see them for certain events like Christmas, Easter, and birthdays, and everything that comes from them is so formal, I guess. I don't know how to explain it, but they never share anything with us. The only thing they talk to us is small talk, like, how are you? How have you been? Blah. Blah, but that's it. A recent example that comes to my mind is that my brother got a big promotion and somehow it slipped during a dinner we had. They never mentioned him getting that promotion. It was something like, yeah, now with my new role, my schedule changed a little bit. I tried to make a joke and told him, wow, good job keeping it a secret, bro. And Arya told me it was not a secret, but they are a private family and don't feel like disclosing financial information. Like, WTF, no one asked about finances or money. Arya's sister recently passed away, and now she suddenly expressed that my SIL and I should be more involved as her kids' aunts. I told her I am sorry for her loss, but I only am an aunt to my other brother's kids, not hers. She told me this is wrong because we are family, and I mentioned that I personally don't consider her or her kids my family. She is my brother's wife, her kids are my brother's stepkids, but that's it. And honestly, I barely consider James my family anymore since we are now only related by blood and nothing else. I am not going to take over a role that I don't want for people who I barely know. Apparently, my words affected James, who asked me if I mean what I said. I told him yes, I mean it. He asked me what can he do to make it better, and I told him, I don't know. How do you fix 3 years of treating your siblings and parents like shit because of some strangers that entered your life in your 30s? He claims he is willing to try for us to go back to how things were, but I told him I am not interested. He can continue playing happy family with his wife and her kids. He doesn't need me for it because I am not a clown to entertain his wife's kids when she feels like it. I, 16M, live with my dad and his wife of 3.5 years. My relationship with dad is complicated, and I work PT and save so I can leave once I'm 18 and never look back. My dad knows my plan and has never tried to stop me, but apparently he never warned his wife either. They've dated since I was 9, but were on and off for a couple of years before that. I'm totally indifferent to her, and now that she has a baby on the way with my dad. She's like 6 or 7 months pregnant now. It's hurting her feelings a lot. And when I told her I wasn't excited for the baby, that I didn't care about family stuff, and that I'd be out of here in a little over a year since my 17th birthday is only a couple of months away, she asked me how I could talk about not being there for my sibling, and I told her to me, that's just their kid, not my sibling, and we're only connected through DNA, which is bullshit since dad isn't exactly being a parent or a dad to me. She said that could all change and the baby needs their big brother, and she said she had plans that we'd grow up close despite the age gap. I told her it's not happening, and she started crying harder and asking me if I wouldn't stay for her, and she thought we were at least working toward being family. I was always nice enough to her despite everything, but I never let her think I was bonding with her either. But she seems to feel like that anyway. She was super upset, and I left the house for a while. Dad caught me coming back and told me I needed to stop upsetting his pregnant wife. I told him I'd avoid her. He said it'd upset her worse, that I need to stop being such a dick to her. 31F, live with my fiancé, 2 kids, and mother-in-law. Recently, my brother-in-law, 26M, moved in. He lost his apartment, and Mail told him he could stay with us without consulting my fiancé and I. Fast forward 4 months, I'm constantly made uncomfortable by his childish fits. He throws when not getting his way. Today, Mill confronts me about how me not wearing a bra in my own goddamn house makes her baby boy feel uncomfortable. The reason for not wearing a bra at home is due to medical conditions. Wearing a bra causes my joints to shift wrong, causing pain. So when I'm home, I don't wear one to avoid pain. Am I the asshole for telling her my comfort is more important to me and my health than her dick of a son? Updated. Quick tidbit: mother-in-law, fiancé, and I all own the house. We're all on the mortgage. We bought it together, and update. Yes, I know it was stupid as hell to buy a house with Mill, but desperate times called for desperate measures. We gave Bill 6 months to move out, or fiancé and I leave. All Bill does is sit in the basement streaming Twitch and playing video games. No job, and when he had one, he quit because he wasn't getting the manager position. He was at said job for 3 months. I have been dating my boyfriend for almost 3 years now. We're serious, we live together, and we've talked about marriage a few times. No rush, we're both still saving up and figuring life out. Here's the thing, though. Lately, he's gotten into this weird little habit of fake proposing to me in public. Like full-on dropping to one knee, grabbing my hand dramatically and saying, "Will you hold my wallet while I go pee?" Or, "Will you get tacos with me after this?" In front of strangers. It started as a one-time joke at a friend's BBQ. Everyone laughed. Cool. But now he does it at the grocery store, at the movies, once even at a park when a tourist literally pulled out her phone to record it. I had to awkwardly wave and be like, no, it's a joke. Mortifying, I asked him nicely to stop. I told him it makes me super uncomfortable, especially because people around us actually think it's real, and then I feel like I'm disappointing them when I don't squeal or cry. Also, Proposing is a big moment. I don't want it to feel like a punchline. He said I'm too uptight and that I ruined the bit. He said I should be able to take a joke and that he's just lightening the mood because everyone's so serious about proposals. Now he's sulking and acting like I shut down his entire personality. He told his friends I hate fun, and one of them actually messaged me like, let the guy joke around, it's harmless. But I don't think it's that harmless when I'm cringing in front of a Starbucks line while he fake proposes with a cake pop in his hand. I'm just tired of feeling embarrassed every time we leave the house. So now I'm wondering, was I being too harsh? Should I have just laughed it off? Or is it fair to ask for the real proposal moment to feel special? I, male, am getting married in 2 months to my fiancé, female. She comes from a very wealthy family and has multiple trust funds totaling around 30 Mallarers. She owns the 11-number home we live in outright and earns 500K plus a year in passive income, dividends, distributions, etc. She does not work and doesn't plan to. I, on the other hand, work full-time, earn around 200K a year, and have less than 100K in net worth. I don't own any property or equity outside of a small stake in my startup. In the past, I have covered 5K a month in our shared expenses, things like groceries, meals, and transportation, and am open to doing something like this in marriage. Her family has retained a top law firm to draft the prenup. They are proposing that, in the event of a divorce, she would be entitled to half of my net worth, even considering I would own no equity in the homes, cars, or any large lifestyle assets. I'm coming in with very little and trying to build up from there. They say this is standard, but nothing about our situation feels standard. I've proposed something I believe is far more fair. We each keep what we bring into the marriage. Trusts and premarital assets stay separate, including any growth. We contribute to a shared fund, proportional or equal TBD, for things like food, shared travel, so long as it's not outrageously expensive, childcare, etc. No alimony or lump sums if we split. We simply part with what we earned. Possibly a clause where, if I ever reach a certain level of wealth, say 10 meter plus, she'd be entitled to a capped portion, e.g. 35% of anything above that amount. Though even that is starting to feel unfair. She believes that because she is funding our lifestyle, staying home with future children, and providing a standard of living I couldn't afford on my own, she is owed something back in the event of a divorce. But I won't own the home. I can't make financial decisions, I'm not building equity. It feels like I'm living in a world someone else built, and still being asked to pay for it later, like something is owed. To me, marriage is about building a future together, not feeling like a guest. Aita for feeling like this prenup is completely one-sided, and for pushing for more autonomy and clarity around shared expenses, instead of just accepting what her family thinks is standard. I, 25F, have an older brother, 36M, and he isn't speaking to me about this. My grandfather passed away a few months ago after being sick for a while and was getting his will in order a while ago. I found out through my mom just a month before my grandfather passed away that my grandfather was planning to leave me not only my intended part, but also my older brothers. My brother is 10 years older than me in his 30s, and for the past 3 years has been with this woman. She's a single mom of 3, so my brother is their stepfather. They got engaged recently. I like his fiancée and have met her a handful of times. They live in a different city, hours away. My mom told me he's not leaving my brother anything because he's dating a single mom, and he doesn't want his money to go towards kids that are not our family's. My brother doesn't plan to have any kids. When I found out, I was shocked and upset. My brother and I are not close, but it felt wrong. Just because he's dating a single mom shouldn't mean he gets punished. My mom supported my grandfather and said it's not personal, it's logical. As his biological granddaughter, my future children will be his lineage, so he wants that money to benefit them. She told me not to say anything to my brother and reminded me of the conversation that we had with his fiancé in the past, where she warned me to not date men with kids and take on their burden, so she would be hypocritical to be upset at this. My mom also told me that his fiancé sent her links for tours to private schools for her kids, and the money would be better off for us. I wanted to speak to my grandfather myself just to make sure those were his wishes, and he doubled down. He said that he didn't work his ass off for years to leave money for anyone other than blood, and that he already spoke to my brother about this when he started dating his fiancée and warned him to at least have one biological child, but he didn't. I asked my roommate her opinion, and she said that her dad is only leaving his assets to her and her sister, not her stepsister, and it's normal. I didn't say anything to my brother because I didn't know how to bring it up, but after my grandfather passed, he's obviously found out and livid. He said we're disgusting for being assholes to kids just because they're not our blood. He's also mad my mom, and I knew and didn't say anything. I told him our grandfather's reasoning, and he said it's BS and doesn't make sense, and that my future kids are not any more my grandfather's blood than his stepkids. He says I should still give him his part since it's now mine, not my grandfather's, and I said no. I want to live a comfortable life and have kids that don't have to worry about money, and I just feel like him already being a homeowner and successful in his career, what would he need the money for? He said he wants it to provide for his family, and I just said no again. He says we're assholes and hasn't spoken to me and our mom. His fiancé also texted me saying that we've alienated her and her kids from our family and we only have ourselves to blame. When my husband and I moved in together, he asked me not to leave half-drunk cups of coffee in the sink because the cream would curdle and gross him out. It was something his ex-wife did, and when I did it, he was triggered. I agreed and would always rinse the cups out. A couple of years later on Christmas, we were visiting our families. At my family's Christmas, he called me by his ex-wife's name in front of my family. Our names have similar sounds. Think Amy and Annie, but not actually those names. I gave him a weird look and he apologized. Later the same day at his family's house, he called me by her name 3 more times. The last time I snapped at him and said my name is Mark, his family heard and we were both embarrassed. When we got home, he was extremely apologetic, but he had no explanation except that Christmas was a big holiday for the ex-wife. I was still furious, so when he went to bed, I stayed up and plotted my revenge. If he was going to call me by his ex-wife's name, I would behave like her. I brewed a full pot of coffee and pulled every mug out of the cabinet. I made myself 22 cups of coffee with cream and put them all in the sink. The next morning, I got up early, made a fresh pot of coffee to actually drink, and waited until he got up. When he walked into the kitchen and saw what I had done, he just looked at me, put his head down, and started washing the mugs. I toasted him with my fresh cup of coffee with cream, and he never called me by his ex-wife's name again. I've seen many irresponsible, irrational, disturbing things at the hotel I work at, but this particular incident, Karen and group, left me dumbfounded. So it's about 1 a.m. and a small group of guests walk into the hotel. One of the guests, Karen, is carrying a young child that is approximately 3 years old. The other few guests are carrying alcohol and head outside where we have a fire pit. We're out saying a word to the FD, or myself. Karen lays her sleeping child on a couch in the lobby. She then proceeds to go outside to join her group. The FD and myself are shocked she would just drop the child on the couch and walk away. We actually didn't even react for a minute because it was something we have not seen before. I then go outside and ask Karen why she put her child on the couch and walked away. Her response, "Well, I saw the FD and you there, so I thought you would watch my kid." It took everything inside me not to go parabolic and say, "Do you realize the hotel takes no responsibility for children? The FD and myself move around throughout the hotel, and your child will most likely be laying there with no eyes on him. Someone could pick up your kid never to be seen again." Instead of that, I simply said, "You need to get your child." Her response, "Well, I'll go get him, but I don't appreciate you coming out here and calling me out in front of my friends." It's mind-blowing the terrible parenting you see
I,
here.
26F, have been with my boyfriend, Tom, 29 for 6 years. We have lived together for 2 years and have 2 cats, but we're not engaged. I have never pushed him to propose because I am very comfortable in the life we have created and always assumed when he was ready, then he will pop the question. Last week, I was told by one of his friends to expect something nice for our anniversary. She told me I should get my hair and nails done, just because I should look nice for my surprise, which I rightly assumed was a proposal. On the weekend, I went shopping with one of my friends and bought a new outfit and got my nails done ready for our weekend away. I was telling her how I think I'm getting engaged and how excited I was to spend the rest of my life with Tom. Last night, Tom and I go to leave for dinner from the hotel, and I get in my new outfit and spend hours getting ready. When I come out and tell him I am ready, he asks if I can actually look nice for once because tonight was special. I asked him what he meant, and he said to me that I always underdress or dress like I'm going to a club when we go to nice places and that I embarrass him. We got in a fight and I ended up walking out and not going to the dinner he had planned to propose to me, and I went to my parents' house because I was upset. He texted me a few hours after I left and asked when I was coming back because he had plans and wanted to know if I picked up a nice outfit for tonight. When I told him I wasn't coming back, he got very angry and said that he was just trying to help me because I would actually want to look nice for today. When I told him I didn't appreciate him saying that I don't look nice when I had spent so long getting ready, he didn't understand and said he wanted one night where I looked nice and put effort in. I ended up hanging up on him and haven't spoken to him since yesterday, and his friends have been messaging me asking how the proposal went, and I haven't responded to anybody. He also hasn't reached out since last night, and I don't know what's happening now. My friends tell me I've done the right thing and that we need to talk about where we go from here. I love him so much, but I don't know that I can look at him the same after finding out how he truly feels about how I look. Have I overreacted or have I fucked up? TLDR. BF was going to propose but told me to actually look nice for once. I stormed out and haven't spoken to him since last night. Edit. To add, we were having a staycation 30 minutes from home to go to the Italian restaurant where he asked me to be his girlfriend 6 years ago. It's not a fancy or expensive restaurant, but it's our favorite. He was wearing black jeans and a button-up short-sleeve shirt. I was wearing a floral knee-length dress. Dinner was booked for 7 p.m. and we were leaving the hotel room at 5 p.m. to go for a walk, turn drinks beforehand. The dress may not be fancy or dressed up for most people, but it's the nicest dress I now own and is dressed up for my style. Pregnant young. Secretly suspect I'm mentally delayed as well. Wanted to place my baby, was guilted into parenting by family, told I was horrible, etc., threatened to be cut off. Months after my baby's birth, I realized once again that I am not ready and wanted to place my baby for adoption, guilted by both parents. I refer to my time as a full-time parent as the most difficult part of my life. My relative took custody after this by choice when my baby was almost 1. Raised my baby for years until they couldn't any longer. I was still not ready, I never will be. I can barely manage myself. I literally cannot even tie my shoes and use slip-ons. My parent took custody. My child has special needs and is school-age now. My child is thriving and I see them for some weekend visits. Even at that, I of course care for my child, but we don't really spend much time together during the visits. The visits are partly to provide relief to my parent. I continue to be pressured and guilted into more visitations that I do not want. Some people even think my parent and I should live together and raise my child together. Absolutely not. I have to have my own life. I have mental health concerns, other suspected diagnoses, a full-time work schedule, and my own life. I contribute financially and have even offered to pay more to help my parent get more childcare, but they are insistent on me doing it. For the record, my parent recognizes my inability to parent and always has. I am moving slightly farther due to work. My parent is fine with this as it will not impact visitation, but secretly this is also to keep my distance. I am tired of being guilted and pressured into more. I made it abundantly clear to my parent that I was unable to care for my child when my other relative couldn't any longer, and that this would be their responsibility, and I feel like they are not listening to what I have stated from day one. My relative also knows that should they someday be unable to care for my child, I will not be an option for care. I have reminded them they certainly have a right to financial support from me, which they get, but they cannot force custody or visitation on me legally. There are other options, God forbid they ever became necessary, but it will not be me. For the record, I have thought about my child in all of this as well. No child deserves to be raised by a parent who does not want to parent. Their other parent is totally uninvolved and, truthfully, despite my issues with motherhood, I could never go to that extreme either. I could never not see my child ever, or not know that they are okay and safe. The way I say it, I know I'm an awful mom. I own it. I'm just trying to survive the next decade plus until my child is an adult and then assist them along the way since they are special needs. I still parent, I attend the school meetings, provide financially, and my child is highly aware that I am their mom. But we are both better off not living together. I truly believe 2F live with my best friend 34F, let's call her Molly. I work from home and Molly works in an office. Molly has a dog, Gabby, and is not the best dog mom if I'm being honest. She walks her 1-2 times a day and the walks are anywhere between 3-10 minutes long. That's it. That's all the stimulation this poor dog gets. I secretly walk her extra times because I feel bad, but I don't want my friend to know. Anyways, Gabby is historically terrified of thunderstorms. She whines, paces, pants so loud, scratches at walls and doors, etc. Molly has been dating a guy for about 8 months and it's getting pretty serious. She stays at his house anywhere between 2-4 nights a week. So Molly will come home from work, walk Gabby for a few minutes, and immediately leave again for the night. She never brings Gabby to the boyfriend's house. We live in a rainforesty climate and it's been raining here every single day night for 2 weeks and counting now. So when Molly goes to her boyfriend's house for the night, she fully knows how Gabby is going to act, but she leaves her here anyway, for me to inevitably deal with. I finally confronted my friend about this and her response was, "Lock her in my bathroom, she'll be fine." What? I'm not locking this dog anywhere. And I think this whole thing is just fucked up in general. I finally snapped at Molly about this and we haven't spoken in a few days. We avoid each other like the plague and Molly is too selfish to apologize. Am I the asshole? Should I have kept my mouth shut? Or was I right to say something and justified to be fed up and
I feel
pissed?
like a lot of girls need to hear this. I was once a very insecure and jealous woman too during my exes. I feel threatened by their pretty classmates and coworkers. I feel threatened by pretty women who passes by. Every time I scroll past hot girls on SOCMED, I would wish that they would not pop up on my ex-boyfriend's feed. I would try to control their interaction with other women, even if it's an academic or work context. And I would get anxiety when they interact with other women. I thought I'm just really paranoid, or that I'm just extremely insecure and jealous until I found my green flag boyfriend. Now I'm always at peace. I never had a feeling that I have to control him to protect our relationship. I never opened his social media and private messages, because I trust him with my whole heart that he would never cheat on me. There are women on their circle, but I never feel threatened by them. Whenever we are outside, I don't have to feel threatened by pretty women passing by. With him, I feel confident even when I'm breaking out, gaining weight, or I have no makeup on. I realize that I only feel insecure with my ex-boyfriends because alam kong babaero sila, and that deep inside they don't love me enough and will cheat when given the chance. So in the process of protecting the relationship, I become the opposite of a girl's girl. Now that I'm being loved by the right man, I'm in my full feminine energy and I love it
A very
here.
long story, but it was one of the more baffling things I've witnessed recently. Last week I went to the pharmacy to pick up some meds. I was really irritated after the drive-through line hadn't moved for over 15 minutes. Couldn't get out because there was a barrier around the corner where I was stuck at, and cars behind me in line. Eventually, the person in front of me drove around the person in front of them to leave the line, allowing me space to do the same. When I round the corner, I see why it was taking so long. There was a truck stopped at the window with a couple cop cars next to it and some cops talking to the driver. I went inside the pharmacy and overheard what was going on since there was a cop inside as well, talking to one of the pharmacists. This angry-looking dude in his 60s was apparently told that one of his prescriptions would be ready in about 30 mins, and he basically said, "Well then I'll wait here until you get it to me." The cop talking to him outside looked exasperated. That man sat there for over half an hour throwing a fit. They told him he needs to come around and pick it up inside or come back through the drive-thru later, and he refused. I don't know what they said to him that got him to finally leave, but I imagine they told him he was going to get cuffed for disturbing the peace or get trespassed by the business. He drove away after I was finally able to grab my meds. I had a lot of fun talking smack about him with the nice lady in line ahead of me and the tech who checked me out. The lack of self-awareness was crazy. Editing to add that my pharmacy is well-staffed and surprisingly really fast. I live in a small town, but there's enough money for things to be run well. It's the only pharmacy I've been to where every checkout counter is manned at all times, and they're super nice folks. I never wait more than 10 minutes max when I pick up. He really had no reason to do what he did.
This has been building up for months, and I'm honestly at my breaking point. My husband's sister Emma, 29F, has this thing where she thinks being family means she can just help herself to whatever she wants from our house. Last week she came over for Sunday dinner, and I noticed she was wearing my favorite sweater. The one I got from Anthropologie that cost me like $120. When I asked her about it, she just shrugged and said, "Oh, this? I grabbed it from your closet, it looks better on me anyway." I was so shocked I didn't even know what to say. But that's not even the worst part. Yesterday I went to use my good straightener, and it was gone. Turns out Emma took it because hers doesn't work as well. She didn't even ask. My husband just keeps saying, "That's just how she is," and telling me to let it go. I'm starting to hide my nice things when I know she's coming over, which is ridiculous. Last month, she took my expensive face cream, and when I confronted her, she acted like I was being dramatic. She said her skin needed it more than mine because she has a more demanding job. Am I crazy for being mad about this? Like, I get that some families are more casual about sharing, but she never asks and never brings anything back. What do I even do here?